Brad, are you on the call? Thank you.
Awesome. I think we're all here other than Tim's away from his command chair. Give Tim just another second before we start up again.
Maybe his transporter is malfunctioning.
Go yell at Scott.
By an Andorian.
Giving it all I got.
I don't think they have bathrooms on the Enterprise, right? I never saw one. Didn't we evolve past all that?
That's right.
Well, they just made food materialize out of thin air, so maybe they can.
Yes.
Wait. Do we have a? Is it Star Trek time? Do we have those little cubby holes that you just press a button and the food materializes?
Yeah, we were just talking about you.
I'm just saying we are streaming at the moment, so
Yeah.
talking about restrooms on the Enterprise.
So let's resume our work session from earlier today. We had our TriMet update that was completed, and next, the second of two items is the city attorney compensation. It is not a performance. We have not done a performance review. Kim Young and I chatted and checked also with Josh that we would do them separately. So Kim, do you want to lead off?
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys recall last year when we did Josh's evaluation, we talked about his compensation, and we weren't at that time comfortable with doing more than we did, which last year was the standard, like 2.5%. Not standard for our employees, but standard if our employees were on a step module like the rest of the staff. But our employees at the attorney and the city manager, we don't use the step chart. But so then we had told Josh that we would come back and have this conversation again. So that's why I had stepped in to get the information. I think you guys got it sent out from Christina, and Keith and I talking. What I think we'd like to propose is, if we were using a step model, again, the 2.5% per step is doing 2 steps this time, 5%, and just keeping moving the target, to getting him closer to market level. So if we did the 5%, that would put him at 147,000 roughly. If you recall the salary survey that was done, granted it was February 2019. At that time, the average and median was about 140,000. So it would obviously be a little bit more than that now. But so that's our recommendation. I'm obviously open for discussion amongst the rest of council.
Of course, he'd still be eligible for the same COLA as all staff.
Correct.
In July. And I believe this upcoming spring or summer, we need to look at his contract, because I think it's also time to look at that from a renewal extension standpoint. Right, Kim?
Yes, his contract right now currently goes through December 1st of 21.
Yeah.
So, and I think we talked about, I think Councilor Rosner maybe made a suggestion of moving the evaluations for the city manager and the city attorney to more in line with our budget season. So doing it mid-spring or so. Is that what you were thinking, Tim?
It was, and the thought process there is, and this applies more to Joe than it does to Josh, but we might as well keep the two together. But Joe gets a list of tasks he has to accomplish in the fiscal year, And to do the review at this time of year, he's only halfway through the year, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So moving the review cycle to the end of the fiscal year, I think makes a lot more sense, because not only will we have a better idea of how he performed, but we'll also have an idea of what's going to be happening in the upcoming year at that point.
And Joe is obviously, we need to have the conversation of his compensation. We chat with Joe, and we'll do that in the spring and make it retroactive.
I do think it's important to have this conversation now, because we did commit to Josh last spring that we would have this conversation this time of year.
No, it was a year ago. It wasn't last
Yeah.
spring. It was a year ago.
Yeah,
So
November, December of
November last year. So yeah, we definitely
It all
needed to.
comes together.
So, Doug, hands up.
So I wanted a couple of clarifying questions. So you're proposing 5%, which is double what a COLA would be. And then you made reference to, we had made a commitment to try to, kind of over time catch them up to market. But then I was confused, because it sounded like market was actually under what we're proposing, or was, as of a year and a half ago, under what we're proposing. So maybe you can clarify that again for me, and maybe I misunderstood.
Well, the market almost 2 years ago was the survey of our surrounding cities by that document that you have for 2 years ago. The average was 140,000. The median was 140,700.
Okay.
So assuming over 2 years, those
Yeah,
have
it's gone up.
probably also increased. Yeah.
Okay, and then we're proposing, the proposal is to bring him to what compensation?
A 5% would bring him to the 140. So the 5% would bring him to what the median and average was 2 years ago. So we're still obviously not there, depending what a current survey would show. But I assume a current survey would show an increase of that 140,000.
I'd actually be in favor of maybe 145 personally, but I'm open to that. That's where I'm at. So I'd like to speed up the getting him to market, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think an extra $5,000 is going to break our budget. So that's where
I agree. I agree.
I agree as well.
So Russell and Tim both agree with Doug. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Okay,
I can
other
get on
thoughts,
board with that.
comments?
I'm in
that
agreement
works for
as
me.
well.
So Kim and Renee, or Renee, you said you're in agreement with Doug?
Correct.
Great.
Yeah, this is Sean. I come in at 145 too.
And I could get on board with the majority, being, we were just bringing the recommendation for conversation.
So with that, any other discussion? We can
The only other thing I'd add is I think the 145 is a good number for right now. And I think, as you mentioned, we're due to do contract talks probably in 6 months for Josh. So it seems like obviously at that point in time, we'd be reevaluating it all again. So that's where I'm at. Thanks.
And I just want to do a clarifying question. We're waiting on Joe until the spring. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
But then any increase would be retroactive.
Correct.
Okay.
And then from a housekeeping point of view, we need to amend both contracts to reflect the new review period. So would that come to council as part of the change to the contract for Josh's increase?
So I think we'll flush that out. Make sure that we're doing the legal.
Yeah, because the contracts specifically say that the reviews are done at this time of year, or maybe even a little bit before it. So we need to make sure that the contracts are aligned with our plan.
Okay. So we'll make sure that Josh and Joe are supportive of those changes before we bring them, or not, and as well as bring a resolution for a salary adjustment to Josh, as majority has indicated 145.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we'll likely have that on the January 5th agenda, so.
Great. Anything else for the good of the good?
Is that typically, this is minor, is that typically effective at the day we pass it? Can we retro it to just be January 1st, or how does that work?
January 1.
January 1, perfect.
I think it's Christina might be on, but I think it's retro. There's a date in his contract that his
So whatever the
increases
date in the
take place.
contract is, we'll look at the contract. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Make sure we're dotting the i's, crossing the t's.
Right. All right.
Anything else for the good of? It's only, it's not 10 o'clock yet.
Let's talk. 4 more minutes.
Well, Kim, thanks. Kim and Mayor, thanks for doing the work on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. She did the lift. With that, we're not going to see each other until the new year. So again, everyone have a safe and healthy and fun Christmas in this crazy COVID times, and all other merrymaking and celebrating that you do with your family and friends in a safe way. And thanks for all of the hard work that you all did this past year with these crazy days and crazy times, and greatly appreciate it.
Glass to 21.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And better
All right.
days for all of those in our community that are suffering and need help. All righty, we're adjourned.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Night.
See you.
Thanks, everyone.